Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan John.
And I'm Diksha Bisla, and coming up on the show today, as there are mounting concerns of Iran deploying naval mines in the Strait of Hormuz to disrupt the key shipping lane. Trump has warned Iran that US will destroy any ship attempting to do so. We'll get you all the details on the show today. Stay tuned.
And as the Strait of Hormuz becomes the epicenter of the ongoing war in West Asia, Iran says that it has carried out a 37th wave of attacks against Israel and on US assets in West Asia in multi-layered barrages, claiming attacks on Haifa, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem and US bases in Erbil, Manama. We'll bring you the latest on that. Let's start with the headlines first.
United States says it has struck Iranian boats capable of laying mines near the Strait of Hormuz, destroying 16 vessels. Trump warns Iran of severe military consequences if mines are placed in vital oil shipping route.
Israel says it detected missiles launched from Iran and activated air defenses to intercept them. Air raid sirens sounded in Jerusalem while explosions were heard. Israeli media reports several injuries near Tel Aviv.
Israel's military says it has unleashed a new wave of strikes on Tehran, targeting Iranian regime and military infrastructure. This is shortly after explosions were heard in the Iranian capital.
Israel carries out new airstrikes on the southern suburbs of Beirut, saying it is targeting Hezbollah infrastructure in the area. Lebanese authorities say about 760,000 people have been displaced.
Iranian Revolutionary Guards say they carry out a fresh missile attack on US military positions, targeting US Navy 5th Fleet base in Bahrain and 3 additional US-linked facilities in Kurdish region of northern Iraq.
White House says President Trump would not be happy if Russia is sharing intelligence with Iran during the West Asia war, but holds back any strong criticism for Moscow.
Zelensky says Ukraine's military strikes a Russian missile plant in Bryansk, targeting control systems for Russian missiles. 6 civilians have been killed and 37 others have been injured in the attack, which is verified by satellite imagery and local officials.
North Korea says it respects Murtaza Khamenei being named Iran's new supreme leader, calls US-Israeli strikes on Iran illegal acts of aggression that undermine regional peace and global stability.
Oil prices slipped on Wednesday after the International Energy Agency proposed its largest ever release of reserves. Brent eased to about $87.6 a barrel and US crude to around $83 as prices stayed high amid tensions in West Asia.
I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level.
This is a war imposed on us. And what we are doing is only defending ourselves. So I don't think, talking with Americans anymore would be, on our agenda anymore.
The US president has said that American forces have destroyed 10 Iranian mine-laying vessels in the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, Trump made the claim after earlier warnings that Iran of serious consequences if it had deployed naval mines in the strait. The US Central Command then released footage purportedly showing American forces destroying multiple Iranian naval vessels, including 16 mine layers near the Strait of Hormuz.
Trump's first post on the social media platform, Truth Social, came late in the afternoon after several US media outlets reported that Iran had either started or was preparing to mine the Strait of Hormuz. Initially, Trump said he had no confirmed reports that such action had already begun. Even his tweet, it started with if, as you can see it on the screen as well. But then he warned that if Iran did so, the United States would respond with unprecedented military force, despite saying he had no confirmation about these reports. Less than an hour later, Trump then said that the US had already bombed Iranian mine layer ships in the previous hours.
Well, later, Trump released another statement claiming that within hours, the US military had struck and destroyed 10 inactive mine-laying vessels.
Now, this development comes after Trump warned Iran of the consequences of trying to stop commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran, however, has vowed that no Gulf oil will pass through the waterway while the war continues.
Now, naval mines are explosive devices which are placed in water to damage or sink ships or submarines. They are a type of area denial weapon. Instead of chasing an enemy, they make certain waters too dangerous to even enter. They are usually triggered when a ship passes close to them. Naval mines are low-cost but high-impact weaponry.
While Iran's mine stock isn't publicly known, reports are suggesting that over the years, Iran has stockpiled roughly 2,000 to 6,000 naval mines, largely produced either by themselves or by China and Russia. Now, with the US claiming to have destroyed these mine layers near the Strait of Hormuz, that still leaves Iran well over 80% of its stockpile.
Now, the Strait of Hormuz is narrow, only about 24 miles wide at its narrowest point, with shipping traffic confined to a few lanes. Now, that means that ships must pass through predictable routes. A small number of mines can threaten many vessels. Even a few mines can force shipping to stop while minesweepers clean the area.
All right, there's more on this, and for that, we're now being joined live by Lynn O'Donnell. She's a journalist and author from Australia. Lynn, thanks so much for joining us here on the broadcast. Pleasure having you with us. The Strait of Hormuz, it was always going to be Iran's play. They had made it clear we will block it if we are attacked. That's exactly what they're doing, and the repercussions are being felt across the globe. Gradually, by the day, the pressure is increasing. Now, with the latest reports suggesting mines and, of course, repeated statements coming out from the US president, how do you see this one playing out in the Strait of Hormuz? How long do you feel Iran will be able to sustain it as US continues to bomb Iranian ships?
Hi, and thanks for having me once more. And you're absolutely right. The Strait of Hormuz is now the epicenter of the war. It always was going to be. It's just taken us a week to get there and to achieve the realization. But almost immediately, the American attacks and Israeli attacks began on Iran. It became very clear that the oil transport through the Strait of Hormuz, which is 20% of the world's total, would be targeted. So as you say, it's very narrow. 20% of the world's traded oil passes through there. So Iran is not able to defeat the United States conventionally, but you mention its capacity for mining the strait, for targeting the shipping route that is so vital to the global economy. What this basically means is that Iran's long-term investment in asymmetric naval warfare is coming into play, and it has been designed specifically for this environment: naval mines, fast attack boats, anti-ship missiles and drones. So by targeting Iran's mine-laying capability. What Washington is trying to do is prevent Tehran from threatening global shipping and energy flows, excuse me.
Right, Lynn. And speaking of the asymmetry here, we understand that this war has been described as a race of time, perhaps, and we understand that, while US possesses the superior firepower here, we understand that for Iran, it is designed in a way that the model is high endurance, and we know that given the asymmetry in terms of economy, in terms of the time that it can sustain the war, it has made it costly for the United States to sustain. And now with the economic cost rising, the human toll rising by the day, how long do you think the US would be able to sustain it and convince the American base of the rationale behind, this prolonged conflict?
Well, I think that's a really good question. The United States appears to be pursuing a military containment strategy. If you can get anything out of their actions so far, and notably their words, that there is a strategy at all, we seem to have moved away from outright regime change into military containment, likely to degrade Iran's military capacity, its missile systems, naval capabilities, as we've just been discussing, and regional proxy networks, the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, all of which are coming into play here around the region, so that Tehran cannot threaten Gulf shipping or Israel in the future. For Iran, the objective is different. Tehran's strategy is survival and deterrence. So by raising the cost of war to its enemies, threatening shipping, energy markets, regional stability, Iran hopes to pressure Washington and its allies into limiting their campaign. So the likely endgame is not victory in a traditional way, we win, you lose, which has always been the way President Trump has articulated deals, only one winner and everybody else loses. I don't think that we're there in that traditional sense, rather than a negotiated de-escalation once both sides judge that the costs of continuing in the way we've seen in the past 12 days is just too high and is outweighing any benefits to either party.
Lynn, interesting you mentioned wins and losses. At this point, what would a win for US really look like? And I'm saying they declare a win for themselves and walk off. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying genuinely what would a win for the US really look like? Because regime change is no longer happening. They already have a new supreme leader in place. They're not backing off. Whatever they have left, they are fighting. They're taking a bad amount of beating Iran, but they're not backing off. They're not capitulating either. So what does US walk out with if they have to? Because very quickly the question initially was how long will Iran last? But now the narrative seems to be on the other side. How long does the US want to last in this?
Well, I think that the negative impact on President Donald Trump and the Republican Party will start to be felt most likely at the petrol pump, the gas station, very soon. We're already seeing retail prices going up in some places in the United States. I've seen reports of 30% price hikes at the pump. Now, while the wholesale price, specifically of Brent crude, which is the benchmark product, has come back, the uncertainty in what the end game is, what victory looks like, how long this is going to go on, how much disruption Iran can cause, is going to start making Donald Trump and the people around him very nervous very soon. We've got to recall that we're going into the midterm elections. Campaigning will start. It will certainly move around the economy as Donald Trump's popularity figures are already well below 40% at this stage, and he risks losing control of both houses to the Democrats. So he will spin, and his people will spin victory however they want to. Whether or not we see the total disablement of Iran's terrorist proxies, as I mentioned before, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, but also Tehran has relationships with the Taliban and all its close friends, if you like, associates in the region. Al-Qaeda is very active, is protected in Afghanistan, active in Africa and India. And so I think maybe the Trump administration might be able to call victory if these organizations and terrorist groups can be proven to be disabled, thereby pushing Iran back to within its own borders. And maybe negotiations on the constitutional requirement that Iran has for the utter destruction of Israel, maybe a change to that. But I think we have yet to see what victory looks like for either party. Probably for Iran, it's survival. For America, it will be something a little bit different, possibly guarantees of safety and survival for the Israeli state.
Right, Lynn, and in many ways this has also become a war of unintended consequences here, because while we understand that these two parties are in the fray, other regional players also have a stake in it. We're seeing Russia somehow becoming, and Vladimir Putin emerging as this, peacemaker here. And Russian government has a lot to gain from these rising oil prices. It is getting that boost, not just economically, but also diplomatically. Now, how do you think the regional dynamics are going to be also influenced by what we're seeing right now going ahead?
Well, you're absolutely right that Putin is starting to look like the real winner out of all of this. Surprise, surprise. Rising oil prices and a shock to supply plays right into his hands. The Russian budget is predicated on oil being more than $59 a barrel. And at one stage in the last couple of days, we've seen the crude price go up to $120. It's come back, but still it's way above the $59 a barrel that Russia needs. And so that's making him look good. He's also positioning himself, as you say, as the peacemaker, and that projects power to the Gulf countries that are currently feeling vulnerable because of the US actions against Tehran. I mean, this started as a war against one country, and suddenly there's, a dozen or more countries involved. The whole globe is now going into shock because of the likelihood of oil price shock and supply shock that will drive the prices at the pump up higher. So if Vladimir Putin can come to the rescue as an oil supplier, he wins both ways. He wins, as you say, diplomatically. He looks good in the region. He looks like a power player. He's already had 2 phone calls this week with President Trump, who's going to start, I think, relying on him. And he sells oil, very high prices. He can only win.
Interesting. You mentioned, how the entire region came into the fray of the ongoing war. But that's something Iran said they're going to do. They always mention that we're going to go after all these US bases in West Asia, and that's exactly what they're doing. Along with that, of course, they've also targeted many other regions which had nothing to do with US bases, but hotels were also targeted. Iran has their own reasoning for that. But if we come back to how Russia plays a role over here, the fact that Saudi Arabia, UAE, they've had decent relations with Russia in the past as well, in the recent past as well. There were state visits by the Russian president in these regions. There were also reports which emerged that the Gulf nations, they are reconsidering their investments in the US. And then you have Putin standing right there with decent ties with them, a base which is already laid, and who also has the capacity to rein in Iran if anyone does at this point. Do you feel US tends to lose big investment opportunities coming in from the Gulf nations?
I think that might be drawing a long bow. If Putin is a winner, it doesn't necessarily mean that the United States is a loser. And the level of investment going both ways between the United States and Gulf countries that you've mentioned, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and others, has just been phenomenal since in the 1 year since Trump came back to power. It's worth billions and billions of dollars. And his family and his close personal associates are the biggest recipients and beneficiaries of that for sure. But I can't see yet that wins for Putin means losses for the United States. I think we have to see things unfold a little bit further yet. We don't know how much time and energy is left in this. The rhetoric out of Washington changes every day. And this is another reason that the markets are so spooked. So let's give that a little.
All right, Lynn, thanks so much for joining us here. There's actually a lot more to discuss, but we'll keep it to here at this point. Let the developments come in and we've been discussing this in the newsroom, the way the war has escalated, it's really overwhelming just to absorb the developments that are coming in by the minute. We're tracking everything right here on WION World is One. That was Lynn O'Donnell joining us from Australia.
Thank you.
And we have some breaking news coming in. The UAE's air defenses say it is currently dealing with missile and drone attacks which are originating from Iran.
Well, the Ministry of Defense in UAE, it confirms that the sounds heard in various parts of the country are the result of air defense systems intercepting ballistic missiles and fighter jets intercepting drones and other aerial vehicles. The latest attacks come a day after UAE air defenses detected 9 ballistic missiles on Tuesday, destroying 8, while 1 fell into the sea. In the same operation, 35 drones were detected, with 26 intercepted and 9 landing within UAE territory. That's the big development we're tracking for you at this hour. Breaking news, viewers. The UAE's air defenses say that the UAE says that its air defenses they're dealing with missiles and drones originating from Iran. And the Ministry of Defense confirms that the sounds heard in various parts of UAE are the result of air defense systems intercepting ballistic missiles and even fighter jets intercepting drones and other aerial vehicles.
Right, and the latest attack comes a day after UAE air defenses detected 9 ballistic missiles on Tuesday, out of which it destroyed 8 while 1 fell into the sea. Now, in the same operation, 35 drones were detected with 26 intercepted and 9 landing within the UAE territory.
And countries around the world breathed a sigh of relief when oil prices, which were already falling, dipped a further 15% on Tuesday.
Well, the drop came after U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright said that the U.S. Navy had escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz. However, Wright has since deleted that social media post, and his claim has also been rejected by both the White House and the U.S. Navy. Listen to this.
I was made aware of this post. I haven't had a chance to talk to the Energy Secretary about it directly. However, I know the post was taken down pretty quickly, and I can confirm that the U.S. Navy has not escorted a tanker or a vessel at this time, though, of course, that's an option the President has said he will absolutely utilize if and when necessary at the appropriate time.
Now, in that particular post, which is now deleted, the minister wrote, I quote from it, President Trump is maintaining stability of global energy during the military operations against Iran. The U.S. Navy successfully escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz to ensure oil remains flowing to global markets. That's what that tweet said.
Now, earlier on Tuesday, Iran had warned that not a single litre of oil would be exported from the Gulf while the war continues. The IRGC Navy rejected Wright's claims, saying the U.S. official had lied and warned that any more movement by the U.S. Navy and its allies would be targeted by Iranian missiles and submarines.
Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, also took a dig at Wright. He put up a social media post of his own saying, and I quote here, an oil tanker crossed Strait of Hormuz escorted by U.S. Navy ships, maybe on PlayStation, quote unquote.
Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has accused the American official of posting fake news to manipulate markets. He said that the war the Americans and Israelis had started would lead to an inflationary tsunami. And he added that the war will lead to the biggest oil shortfall in history. bigger than the Arab oil embargo, Iran's Islamic Revolution, and 1990 Kuwait invasion combined.
Nearly one-fifth of the global oil supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz. The Energy Secretary's boast was seen as a display of the power of U.S. naval forces and was believed to be the first such operation since the start of the U.S. and Israel's war with Iran.
Now, crude prices have seen sharp fluctuations since the start of the war. And this is due to fears of supply disruptions. Prices surged 30% on Monday to nearly $120 a barrel, before retreating after Trump suggested the war could end soon. Now, oil prices started to fall further after Wright's announcement. At around 17:15 GMT, Brent crude futures went down 15% at $84.09 a barrel, but the prices rose after Chris Wright's post was deleted.
All right, viewers, slipping into a short break, but this is World DNA. We will be back on the other side. We bring you more reports. The Pentagon says about 140 U.S. service members have been wounded in the war with Iran. A Pentagon spokesman said that most of the injuries were not severe and that many troops had already returned to their units. The Iranian attacks have killed at least 7 American service members so far, 6 in Kuwait, 1 in Saudi Arabia. Lots more to discuss. Come right back.
In an ever-changing, fast-paced world, identifying the pulse of global happenings is important. Because it is the pulse that truly measures the real nature of world events. It monitors the shifting geopolitical landscapes and anticipates what lies ahead. At WION World Pulse 2026, we tap into the heartbeat of events that matter to you and to the world. 7 pulsating themes, 100 plus thought leaders, 1 dynamic platform, WION World Pulse. The rhythm of the new world order. In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION World is One. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Diksha. I'm Shivan. Lots more to discuss. Let's start with the headlines.
Sirens sounded across Tel Aviv, central Israel and Jerusalem several times overnight. This is after warnings of incoming Iranian missile strikes. Missiles were seen over Hebron and Ramallah in the West Bank.
Saudi Arabia's defense ministry says it has intercepted and destroyed 2 drones heading towards Sheba oil field. UAE Defense Ministry reports its air defenses are intercepting missiles and drones launched from Iran.
The United States says it has struck Iranian boats which are capable of laying mines near the Strait of Hormuz, destroying 16 vessels. Trump warns Iran of severe military consequences if mines are placed in vital oil shipping route.
Israel's military says it has unleashed a new wave of strikes on Tehran, targeting Iranian regime and military infrastructure shortly after explosions heard in the Iranian capital.
Israel carries out new airstrikes on the southern suburbs of Beirut, saying it is targeting Hezbollah infrastructure in the area. Lebanese authorities say about 760,000 people have been displaced.
Guards say they carry out a fresh missile attack on U.S. military positions targeting U.S. Navy 5th Fleet base in Bahrain and 3 additional U.S.-linked facilities in Kurdish region of northern Iraq.
White House says President Donald Trump would not be happy if Russia is sharing intelligence with Iran during the West Asia war, but holds back any strong criticism from Moscow for now.
Zelensky says Ukraine's military strikes a Russian missile plant in Bryansk, targeting control systems for Russian missiles. 6 civilians killed, 37 others injured in the attack, verified by satellite imagery and local officials.
A global scramble for LNG is underway as West Asia conflict cuts key supplies. Shipments from Qatar have slumped, slicing about a fifth of global LNG capacity and pushing Asian and European buyers into fierce competition for cargoes.
All right, we're starting off with breaking news coming in from Iraq, where a drone assault has hit a major U.S. diplomatic facility.
Security sources said that drones targeted a U.S. diplomatic facility near Baghdad International Airport. The Washington Post, citing an internal U.S. alert, said the strike hit the Baghdad Diplomatic Support Center, which is a logistical hub for American diplomats near Iraqi military bases and the Baghdad airport.
The area has come under repeated attacks since the start of the U.S. offensive in Iran. The strike is being seen as a suspected retaliation by pro-Tehran militias. Sources said at least 6 drones were launched towards the compound, most of them shot down, but at least 1 hit the U.S. facility. There are no reports of any casualties, but several U.S. embassies and consulates across West Asia, they have been struck in suspected Iranian strikes over the past week, including an embassy building in Kuwait in Kuwait City, that is, and the consulate in Dubai. The State Department has ordered the evacuation of scores of non-essential diplomats around the West Asia region.
Well, earlier on Saturday, a missile had landed on the helicopter landing pad in the US Embassy complex in Baghdad. The latest attack in Baghdad comes as Iran launched new strikes on Israeli and American targets in West Asia. Iran state media claimed that the barrage was the most intense and heaviest since the start of the war, which lasted 3 hours.
The missile salvo by IRGC targeted numerous US targets in Erbil in Iraqi Kurdistan and the US 5th Fleet Naval Base in Bahrain, as I mentioned earlier. It also targeted Israeli cities including Tel Aviv, Haifa, as well as parts of Jerusalem. New attacks are also being reported across the Gulf region. Early on Wednesday, with Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates both reporting interceptions of missiles and drones.
And the British warship HMS Dragon has set sail from Portsmouth from Cyprus.
And this is to bolster UK defences in the region amid the US-Israeli war with Iran. Now, HMS Dragon left Portsmouth on Tuesday afternoon, more than a week after a drone attack on the UK's RAF Akrotiri airbase in Cyprus. When it arrives, it will be the UK's only warship currently deployed in the region.
Now, the decision to deploy the destroyer was taken a week ago, but it took several days to prepare the ship for its journey, adding to the scrutiny over Britain's military readiness. The delayed departure drew criticism from the opposition and also from officials in Cyprus.
The British government, however, defended the delay, saying it had already pre-deployed other assets to the region, including radar assets, air defence units and F-35 fighter jets. Now, over the past week, the UK has also deployed counter-drone specialists, additional Wildcat and Merlin helicopters to Cyprus, Typhoon fighter jets to Qatar, and has begun defensive air sorties in support of the United Arab Emirates.
Now, HMS Dragon is a Type 45 air defence destroyer, equipped with the Sea Viper missile system and advanced radar. It's designed to track and neutralize airborne threats, including drones and ballistic missiles. The warship will also be supported by Wildcat helicopters from the 815 Naval Air Squadron, armed with Martlet missiles, which are capable of taking down aerial drones.
HMS Dragon's primary role will be protecting RAF Akrotiri, the British air base in Cyprus, which UK allowed US to use, which was targeted by an Iranian-made drone. Well, as the West Asia war, or the war with US and Israel started on Iran, it is now widening and Israel's northern front is rapidly heating up. Hezbollah has stepped up rocket fire into northern Israel.
Well, anti-tank missiles are targeting Israeli positions along the border. And this comes after Israel has repeatedly attacked and breached the ceasefire with Lebanon since 2024. The question now is whether Hezbollah is sliding into a full-scale conflict with Israel. Take a look at this next report for more details.
Rockets continue to rain down on northern Israel, and the Israeli military now believes Hezbollah is preparing for a prolonged campaign. Israeli officials say attacks along the northern border have not stopped for days. Anti-tank missiles have targeted Israeli defense positions, keeping the front line tense and volatile. Hezbollah says no choice but resistance, self-defense.
هدفنا واضح ومحدد.
Our goal is clear and specific: to expel the enemy from our occupied land, to stop its attacks and violations by air, sea and land, to liberate the prisoners and return them to their families, to end the targeting of our people and their security.
وقف استهداف شعبنا وأمنه.
Western diplomat says Hezbollah believes it has reached a point where it has nothing left to lose. With Iran weakened, with members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard reportedly leaving Lebanon, and with financial flows to the group being blocked, the militant organization may now feel forced to act. Israeli officials believe Hezbollah is trying to send two messages. First, to deter the Lebanese government from taking action against it, and second, to pressure Israel into withdrawing from military positions inside Lebanese territory. But Israel is signaling that it will not back down.
From this point, we certainly must not only refrain from withdrawing in the face of Hezbollah, but take advantage of the opportunity, as you say, to strike it. We are striking it, and we will strike it. We shall not give details about it now. Prepare the operational plans in order to strike and exact a price from it and thwart its capabilities.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already held high-level security meetings to discuss the fighting in Lebanon alongside the wider war with Iran. Meanwhile, on the ground in Lebanon, the humanitarian situation is rapidly deteriorating. An Israeli strike hit near the southern city of Tyre. The Israeli escalation has triggered a massive wave of displacement. According to the United Nations, nearly 700,000 people have fled their homes in Lebanon in just over a week. More than 100,000 people left their homes in just the last 24 hours alone. The UN Refugee Agency says families are being forced to flee within minutes as airstrikes and evacuation warnings sweep across villages and as the regional war intensifies. The northern border between Israel and Lebanon is fast becoming one of the most dangerous fronts in this conflict.
Amid rising tensions between Israel and Iran, concerns are growing in India over a possible increase in petrol and diesel prices.
And this is across several cities. Car owners, motorists, they are worried about the potential impact. The government of India has stepped in, taking measures to ensure that household fuel supplies remain uninterrupted. Cab drivers and two-wheeler users, they fear refills will become unaffordable in the near future. And even small hikes can add up in high-traffic areas with long commutes. Delhi's notorious jams, they force frequent stops, spiking consumption. A typical driver reportedly burns 10 to 15 liters daily, so volatility hits income directly as fares rarely adjust fast enough. Now, this amplifies refill frequency at pumps where even 10 paise hikes feel burdensome over weeks.
Day by day,
prices are increasing, but our incomes aren't. We drivers have to wait for hours to get a booking, and the fare we receive isn't enough.
Yes, I am very worried. We work all day to make ends meet. If the prices of petrol and diesel increase further, we'll struggle a lot.
Now, to give us a first-hand look at the situation on the ground, our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbal, has sent us this report. Take a look.
War in West Asia is going to have a cascading impact, and that is worrying everyone from South Korea to India, from Pakistan to Bangladesh, and measures have been taken by several countries. Here in India, the government has assured that there will not be any hike when it comes to the petrol and diesel prices till the point the crude doesn't crosses the $130 a barrel mark. But there are worries over commercial LNG, and that is something that is dominating the headlines. But clearly the war-led inflation, the warflation is something that is going to eat into savings, into the hikes that are expected. And we know that the war is now in its second week, and there is no sign that there will be an early resolution, even as Donald Trump continues to issue threats and say that this is something that could see more developments. With video journalist Siddhant Sibbal for WION in New Delhi.
And amid the escalating tensions between Israel and Iran, panic has gripped India over a shortage of cooking gas cylinders as well.
Now, long winding queues have formed outside gas agencies, with people anxiously waiting for a single cylinder. And restaurants are on the brink of closure as the crisis deepens. To give us a first-hand look at the situation on the ground, our principal correspondent, Disha Yadav, has sent us this report from Mumbai. Take a look.
Mumbai's restaurants are staring at a major crisis as the ongoing LPG shortage has hit the hospitality sector here in the city. In fact, restaurants and hotels that we have spoken to since morning say that they have stock left only either till today or till tomorrow evening maximum. Apart from that, there is no other alternative for such restaurants that majorly run on an LPG. This restaurant where we are here in the Mulund area, which is in the eastern suburbs of Mumbai, they are also staring at a major crisis. They say that they have stock left only till tomorrow. They have received the new supplies yesterday and there is one cylinder which works for 2 days, and after that they still do not know. They are quite uncertain, and maximum of these restaurants here in Mumbai are facing similar issues.
As the Iran conflict raises fears of supply disruptions from the Gulf, there is an important detail which is often overlooked in the oil debate. Not all crude oil is the same.
Now, crude varies. It widely varies in quality, and that difference has a major impact on refining costs, fuel output, and even global prices. The key measure is API gravity, which indicates how light or heavy the crude is. Now, the higher the number, the lighter the oil. Lighter crude flows easily, requires less processing, and produces a larger share of high-value fuels like petrol, diesel, and jet fuel.
Now, that means that lower refining costs and higher margins for refiners. Heavy crude, by contrast, is thicker. It contains more impurities and requires more energy and complex equipment to process.
The world's major oil producers supply crude with very different characteristics. The benchmark US WTI crude has an API gravity of around 39 to 41 degrees, making it one of the lightest and easiest oils to refine.
Iran's light crude sits in the 33 to 36 degree range, while Russia's Urals crude contains higher sulfur content.
At the other end of the spectrum is Venezuela's heavy crude with API gravity as low as 15 degrees and in some cases even lower before blending. This kind of crude is extremely viscous, it's extremely viscous and requires specialized refineries and dilution to transport. In simple terms, the lighter the crude, the cheaper it is to refine and the higher the value of the final product.
Now, that is why disruptions in the Persian Gulf matter not just for how much oil is produced, but also what kind of oil disappears from the market. Much of the crude exporters by Gulf producers, including Iran, Saudi Arabia and Iraq, fall into this medium to medium light category, which many refiners in Asia and Europe are specifically designed to process. Replacing those barrels is not always easy, even if supply exists elsewhere.
Historically, some of the most sought-after crude came from Libya, known for its exceptionally light and sweet oil before years of instability disrupted production. In global energy markets, quality shapes pricing, trade flows and refinery strategy. A reminder that in the oil business, quality drives politics far more than most people realize.
And shifting our focus to sports, where Australia has granted asylum to 2 more members from Iran's women's national football team, taking the total number of Iranian footballers granted asylum to 7.
Well, the players have sought sanctuary after being branded wartime traitors in Iran following a pre-match protest. On Tuesday, 5 members of the Iranian women's team who were in Australia to participate in the Women's Asian Cup, they were granted asylum by the Australian government. A day later, 2 more members of the contingent, 1 player and 1 support staff member, they sought sanctuary before the team flew out of Sydney.
With the assistance of the Australian Federal Police, they were separated from the rest of the group and taken to a safe location. They then met with me at the Australian Federal Police location, which is attached to Brisbane Airport. When I met with them, I made them the same offer that I had made the 5 players the night before. and that was that if they wanted to receive a humanitarian visa for Australia, which would have a pathway to a permanent visa, I had the paperwork ready to execute that immediately. They both said that they did. I signed off on that, asked the department to start processing straight away, and overnight that processing happened.
Well, there were concerns that male officials travelling with the team might try to prevent other women from seeking asylum. Australia's Immigration Minister, Tony Burke, said that each player was separated from the squad at Sydney Airport and given time to consider the offer in private.
After the two members separated, the rest of the Iranian squad left for Malaysia, amid tense scenes and protests at both the team hotel and the airport. Iranian Australians attempted to stop the women from leaving, citing fears for their safety if they return to Iran.
Now, the remaining players arrived in Malaysia early Wednesday, from where they are expected to travel back to Iran. Concerns for the team first emerged last week during their opening match of the tournament.
The players remained silent during the national anthem in what appeared to be a protest against the Iranian government, and this prompted criticism from within Iran. Although the side sang Iran's anthem in later matches, that is, human rights activists, they warned the damage was already done.
A commentator on Iranian state television accused the team of being wartime traitors and calling for their punishment. A video of the player not singing the anthem quickly went viral on social media. However, the players sang the anthem and saluted during the national anthem ahead of their loss to Australia last Thursday and their loss to Philippines on Sunday.
A 35-year-old Florida woman has been charged with attempted murder after allegedly opening fire on musician celebrity Rihanna's Beverly Crest home over the weekend.
Well, Ivana Lisette Oritz of Orlando was accused of driving to the 9500 block of Heather Road around 1:20 p.m. on March 8th and discharging a semi-automatic rifle multiple times at the residence. Although several people were present on the property and at an adjacent home during the targeted attack, authorities have confirmed that no one was struck by gunfire or was injured.
Today I am here to announce the charges that have been filed against Ivana Lisette Ortiz, a 35-year-old woman from Orlando, Florida, in connection with the case in which she has now been arraigned. And by the way, that arraignment date has now been continued to March 25th. The charges that have been filed against Ms. Ortiz include 1 count of attempted murder, 10 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, and 3 felony counts of shooting at an inhabited dwelling or camper.
She's being held on a $1.875 million bail in Department 30 of the False Criminal Justice Center. If convicted on all charges, Ortiz faces a maximum sentence of life in state prison. The case remains under investigation by the Los Angeles Police Department's Robbery Homicide Division.
Now, despite the proximity of the gunfire, authorities have confirmed that Rihanna, her partner A$AP Rocky, and their 3 young children were all present on the property at the time of the shooting, but remained physically unharmed. A source close to the singer noted that she is safe. And in the days following the attack, the singer was spotted departing Los Angeles via a private jet, reportedly taking no chances with the family's safety as the legal case against Ortiz proceeds.
Turn this way, Rihanna.
All right, viewers, that's a wrap on this edition of World DNA. Thank you so much for staying with us. Short break now. Come right back. This is WION.
In an ever-changing, fast-paced world, identifying the pulse of global happenings is important. Because it is the pulse that truly measures the real nature of world events. It monitors the shifting geopolitical landscapes and anticipates what lies ahead. At WION World Pulse 2026, we tap into the heartbeat of events that matter to you and to the world. 7 pulsating themes, 100 plus thought leaders, 1 dynamic platform. WION World Pulse. The rhythm of the new world order.